Manchester United up for discussion with Alejandro Moreno, and there's a lot to get to. Ali, sixth place in the Premier League last season. How strong is the squad that Erik Ten Hag has now got at his disposal since taking over?
Obviously not very strong if you're a Manchester United fan, but I think more so than the talent level, I think when you look at Manchester United and you evaluate the strength of the team, I think this group is just soft. This is a group of players that has proven that under moments of pressure, under moments of expectation, they haven't been able to deliver. And so while there may be some talented players on the field, on the whole, what we have seen is that within the locker room, there hasn't been enough strength of character to push this team forward. So talent alone doesn't do it for Manchester United. And in terms of talent, compared to Manchester City or Liverpool or Chelsea, they're nowhere near. And so if you don't quite have the talent to be at that level, and then you also don't have the strength of character, then you finish sixth. And that's exactly where Manchester United deserves to finish. They were not good enough to fight with the big boys.
Okay, so how does Erik Ten Hag turn it around? Everything you've just said, spot on. How do you develop a spine of a team, a hard-working ethic, something that I don't know if the players have bought into over the past year or two under Rangnick and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but it hasn't been good enough? How do you suddenly change players to make them run faster, to make them work harder, to make them believe more in themselves? Or if you don't think you can, how do you get rid of them?
Well, there's many questions there that you just asked, and Mark. So I'm going to try to divvy them up into what does Ten Hag do as he approaches this group and meets this group and starts to evaluate and analyze. Well, the first thing that you have to do is define the roles for the players. Clearly define roles. This is what I want you to do, and this is what you're going to be useful for me. This is how you're going to add value to this team, and define that very clearly so that there is no interpretation from the player's perspective. This is my job, and this is how I help this group. When you're able to do that, then for a player, you limit the ability to wonder, to sort of kind of take their mind off of the pressure of what should I be doing? No, this is my job. It is clearly defined. This is what I've been asked to do. So let me focus on this. And if you have enough players that are able to carry out the assignments necessary as it pertains to Ten Hag and what he thinks is going to be helpful for the team, then you have to imagine that once you put those pieces together, the team would be far better off. Now, the other thing that you have to do is when you start the analysis process, you have to be very straightforward and say, this guy's going to help me, that guy is not. And once you have a very clear picture as to who do you think are the pieces that are going to be useful to you, then you define those roles for those pieces, and you hope that those pieces come together when it matters the most as the season starts.
Looking at the players that he has, there'll be most of them that he'll hope to develop and hope to be part of his plans. But when you don't, or you have made your mind up that you don't want someone, yet that player's under contract, how difficult is that for a manager, Ali?
Well, it is difficult, but then I think the other way that you can approach it is that, okay, from the beginning, as I analyze this group, I'm going to suggest this guy's going to be useful, this guy not so much. So I'm going to focus on the guys that I think are going to be useful to my group. However, there's a potential that this guy that I didn't think was going to help us, maybe if we just keep him in the fold, maybe if we keep him part of the rotation, we see some change, we see some development, and the guy who I thought was underachieving now is meeting the potential. And when that happens, then you truly trust the player. Until that happens, then it's really on the player to showcase his abilities in training and become an undeniable force, an undeniable talent that even though you didn't think you had him on the plans, look, this guy in training, he looks great. I put him out in a cup game and he looks great. Now I put him out in Premier League game and he looks great. So you cannot deny the ability of that player to then come back into the group. But you have to make these choices and you have to make this analysis right away. And it's not easy to do, but that's what the job of a manager is. You look at the pieces that you have available, you look at the guys that are going to be useful to you, you look at the guys that you trust, and then the guys who you don't think, you know what, it's not for me. And they're under contract, and somehow you have to get the very best of those players. So, look, not easy to do, not a perfect situation in Manchester United, but this is why the job becomes challenging. And this is why Ten Hag has to be able to make decisions on the run and to adjust. You make a decision on a player, but that's not the end-all, be-all of that particular player. If this guy shows you something different, then you adjust on the run. It's part of being a manager.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because on the other hand, there are players that might have been on the outside looking in under, first of all, Solskjaer and then Ranić, who are still contracted to the football club for a while to come, that might see this as a clean slate. So could there be an opportunity for Man United fans next season when they go to Old Trafford to be cheering on players they thought they would never get the chance to do so again because they were lost causes?
Yeah, and I think anytime that there is a managerial change, when the team has underperformed and has underachieved, then the bar is very low in terms of expectations. And so there's going to be open competition, because the manager that comes in says, okay, I know this group of players that was supposed to be good, but they underachieved. They didn't deliver the results and they didn't deliver the performances. So why would I trust these guys? No, they have to earn that trust. And so it becomes open competition for everybody to say, hey, I'll raise my hand. I'll be the guy that you need. I'll do what you're asking me to do. I'm going to follow whatever it is that you want me to do because I want to be on the field. And this is the part that I think people must understand. If you want to be on the field and there's a new manager in place, if he tells you to run through the wall, then you run through the wall. You don't question it. You don't posture. You don't gesture. No. You do as you're told because you want to find your way back to the field and stay on the field. And when it becomes open competition and everybody thinks, okay, all right, we all have a chance and we're all pushing each other, you have to imagine that that makes everybody better as they go forward. This is in an ideal world. This is utopia for Manchester United, that everybody pushes each other from the very beginning and then Hag is able to get the best out of all these players. Then you have to imagine that they're going to get better as a group and individually. But it's wait and see. All of this is great in preseason. We just have to wait and see what the final product is as the season begins.
Sure. Let's move on. Talk about Erik Ten Hag. What type of manager are Manchester United getting? And from the teams that he's picked and the style that he had at Ajax, what are you expecting from Manchester United this season under him?
High tempo, passing game, a lot of movement with and without the ball, a lot of rotation, everything happen on 1 and 2 touches, and a manager that likes to put pressure high up the field to get the ball back and do so in an organized manner. But once they have the ball, I think that's where the strength of his team has been, their ability to hold possession of the ball with dynamic movement and in the final third, not just possession for the sake of possession, but rotation and possession while you're trying to probe, while you're trying to get forward. It's an attacking-minded manager. Now, can he do that with this group of players? That is the question that obviously he and the players are going to have to answer.
According to a couple of our ESPN FC colleagues that wrote the articles that said Ten Hag was coming to Manchester United, they also wrote that part of the talks that were taking place was him getting assurances he would get time to turn this project around, to get the chance to do his job correctly. In your opinion, Ali, how much time is required to do what he hopes to do? Because it ain't a quick project, is it?
No, it isn't. And that's part of the issue with Manchester United, that they've been trying to make this a quick turnaround for the last few years, and it just hasn't worked. When you have cracks everywhere, you can't just say, okay, well, one decision is going to resolve anything. One managerial change is going to change everything. No, because the issues of Manchester United are not only on the field, they're also off the field. And so this is when it's very important that Ten Hag has had a very clear conversation with those above him in the club. Hey, this is my project. This is what I expect to get from this team. And this is how we're going to get better over time. It's not going to be, hey, I'm here, and all of a sudden it's a miracle. And these players become world beaters. And these players become stronger characters. No, this is going to take some time, and we are going to have to be patient. I'm going to have to be patient as a manager. You're going to have to be patient as a club. Fans don't want to hear this. Clubs don't want to hear this. The reality is you don't become a championship team once again by changing one piece. Sadly, for Manchester United, you're going to have to change a bunch of pieces, and that hasn't happened just yet.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.